What's good? All right. Welcome to the channel. Another excellent trail boxing talk. Let's talk this boxing. Back up this a little bit. What's good, man? Star City J, man. What's going on with you, sir? Michael James, 616. H-Town, what's good, man? Ivy Webb, my lady, how are you? Gravy Davy, what's going on, man? Kenneth Johnson, what's happening? Cutthroat Sports in the building. Justin's Lit Vlogs, that's what's up. What's going on, Almighty Law? Little 95, what's goody? I'm good, man. Life is good. Shit, a little calmer day than yesterday. Got all my work, most of my work done. Got started working about 4:30 this morning. Wrapped it up. It was about 10 to 11. Wrapped up most of the stuff I had to wrap up. Now I get to do a Patreon video later today. Answer some questions in Patreon. I feel like I'm doing well, man. I hope all is well for you guys as well. So let's talk about some stuff in the boxing world, man. I got my notes. I'm gonna be a little more organized today. Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter says that somebody asked Shawn Porter, let me make sure I say this right, man. What's going on, Star City J? Syndicate J, Tube Robinson in the building. The coldest piece out. East Oakland in this joint. Shout out to the chat and salute to the Mahangdan and the LDBC. Yes, sir. Jimmy Bernard, everything's good, man. I can't complain about it. I can't complain about a thing, man. I'm blessed. Very, very blessed. Porter couldn't even knock Danny down. Man, I looked it up, too. Shawn Porter hasn't had a knockout since Andre Berto. He hadn't had a knockout since Andre Berto, and that was a TKO. He hasn't had an actual KO since well before that. He hasn't had a KO since like 2014, something like that. What's going on, Lil 95? That name is the coldest piece out. That's what I thought I said. The coldest piece out. Yeah, like P-E-I-C-E out. Not like I'm the coldest, peace out. He hit Berto with all kinds of headbutts and shoulders. Yeah, pretty much, man. It's ridiculous, man. It was ridiculous. But yeah, man, I can't see this guy knocking out Errol Spence Jr., man. I cannot see it. I can't see it. I can see, there was a point when I really couldn't see. Oh, Jimmy Bernard, what do I think about Ryan Garcia going to the PBC? Is he? Are you asking me what I think about, like, I doubt that he is, unless you know something that I don't know. I doubt that he is. Because he's got a contract with Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya ain't going to release him. Oscar De La Hoya is going to pay him his minimum and keep him right where he sit and sit him down exactly where he is. Ryan Garcia throwing around a lot of publicity, but, throwing around a lot of bad publicity, rather. Damon Hennix was denominator, home of the U.S. demographic. What's good, man? I remember when you took on that name because of Steve Kim saying, and the PBC appeals to the lowest common denominator in boxing. Gotta love the closets. Gotta love the closet hatred. P Money, I'm chilling, man. What's good with you, man? Mike Hennigan, what's going on? Don Grant says salute to the guys and the goddess and the chance. That's what's up. The 64-year-old G. Bert from Mardican, what's going on, man? Brothers UK, what's good, man? We sliding in slow. Damn, I only did one video today, so my notification should have went out. But, it's always around the same time, somewhere around this time. Just asking, Ryan can fight Tank. That'd be a good fight. Yeah. I mean, not at this point, I don't think it'd be a good fight. I think he'd get busted up. But Ryan Garcia, I think Ryan Garcia has to mature more. He just doesn't seem like, I mean, he's still kind of like a kid. He still looks like a kid. But then again, so does Shakur Stevenson. But I think Shakur Stevenson is just coming around a little faster. And I think he's a little better. Ryan Garcia seems like his chin is just up in the air, man. I always think of him. I always think of his chin up in the air, looking like that's going to get touched pretty soon. What's going, Jay Bird 904? What's good, man? Everything's good, man. Everything's good. Just another day of this boxing, man. So, all right, man. Why is your boy Bud? Where's Drink More Water, man? Why is your boy Bud talking about he's the A-side? He's the A-side of what? Bud ain't the A-side. Bud ain't the A-side. Bob Arum is the A-side. Bob Arum's the A-side. You ain't A-side when you ain't the promoter. When you can't fight and do what you want to do, you ain't the A-side. Bob Arum's the A-side. If anybody's there, A-side is Bob Arum. Because Bob Arum's the one that dictates whether or not you get that fight or not. Bud been listening to Bob too much. Yeah, Bob Arum said it was a 50-50 fight. He's like, yeah, we can make this fight, just like Tyson Fury, split it down the middle, 50-50. What? If Bob Arum says split it 50-50, that he knows it's 60-40. He ain't gonna start with his public negotiations anywhere near where he thinks he's gonna end. He might settle for 70-30. Depends on how well. B&B, salute. Let's not to let your eye get out of pocket today. Look, man, I ain't gonna take but so many of them jokes. I ain't gonna take so many of that. Don't tell you right now. My eyes are perfectly straight. You gonna freeze frame me in the middle of something. Guess shit's fucked up, dude. But that's all right, man. I'm all right. I still get mine. Bob on that crack. A-side Arrow, B-side Bob Arum, and C-side Crawford. That's about what it is, man. It's about what it is. Or just no side. Just he's an employee. That's what it is. He's just an employee. Mark Perez, salute. Wilder is the #1 heavyweight. Yeah, I mean, he is in the WBC. I agree that he is. Oh, what's going on, BK Don 718? Yeah, man, Bud Crawford needs to get rid of Bob Arum, man. Like, I don't understand it, man. If you were your own promoter, did I watch the Schaub interview with Bud? No, I have not. Yeah, I know B&B Boxing. I know. Just want you back. It's all right. I'm just playing. No, I haven't. Is it Brandon Schaub? Isn't it? I thought he does that stuff on Showtime. He had a Showtime interview, or does he have some side show or something that I don't know about? Mir, what's going on, man? Schaub is a clown. Isn't Schaub? I thought is he talking about Brendan Schaub, the guy with the Showtime show, or does he have one like some other show? But nah, man, I don't pay attention to those guys too much, man. Yeah, oh, so Bud was on Showtime? That's crazy. Fanon, who do you think Tank's next opponent? Have you heard anything? The person that I'm hearing mentioned most often with it is Yuriokas Gamboa. I'm hearing Yuriokas Gamboa. Oh, 2 said no on YouTube. Okay, that's what's up. He has a podcast. Damn, everybody got a podcast, man. Why did I get blocked on my other account? I don't know who your other account is, and I didn't block you. So I wouldn't know. Oh, below the belt. Nah, I'm not going to do that, dog. Come on, man. That shit was fucked up. That day, come on, you a subscriber. You're going to put some shit out there like that? Come on, man. You know how many people put pictures of me on their page already? Like, I already got enough people hawking doing that shit, man. I'm like, what it do though, man? Renique, what goes on, man? It's called Food Diaries. He was on Food Diaries. Oh yeah, Bert from Martin said if you come under one account, then you can avoid that. No doubt about it. Yeah, I try to unblock you on the other one. I just don't know what it's. I don't know what it's about. Philip Redden, what's going on? Chilling, man. Just talking boxing. Just talking boxing. But Bob Arum. Now another subject. You hear the stuff going on with Manny Pacquiao and Bob Arum. I got a video coming out later today, man. You definitely got to check it out. Bob Arum told Manny Pacquiao he need to sit his ass down before he get hurt. Man, I'm telling you, man, I'm starting to agree with some of these. I'm starting to see these promote. Everybody, you ever heard the saying, a broken clock can be right twice a day? Well, on this time, Bob Arum was dead right. Manny need to stop that before he get hurt, man. He talked about how he took too much punishment against took too much punishment against Keith Thurman, and how he should take the Floyd Mayweather fight and then stop. And I'm like, yeah, man, you about right, dude, because you don't want your favorite fighter. And this is to you, I don't know, does Manny Pacquiao's name's not in the chat, so some of the Manny Pacquiao subscribers that love to hate me aren't going to be particularly happy about this. But, dude, you don't want Ali went out real bad, man, fighting too long, man. Muhammad Ali went out real bad fighting too long. James Toney, one of the greatest fighters I've seen, dude. Man, I can't understand two words coming out of his mouth. There's just story after story after story. Those things start adding up. And the more you get hit, the easier it is for you to get re-injured. So it's like the punishment is adding up. It's taking punishment now. Terry Norris, taking punishment at 40 years old is worse than taking punishment when you're 22 and your body can regenerate and can heal itself more efficiently and effectively than when you get to be older. So these shots these guys are taking at this age, it's not a good deal. Bernard, yeah, Meldrick Taylor, Terry Norris. Yeah, man, Meldrick Taylor can be. I'm gonna tell you, hey, wait around and watch Tyson Fury in a few years. If he's probably saving himself because he takes years without getting hit because he ain't fighting nobody. Yeah, Roy went too long, but Roy still seems sharp for right now. I mean, he's got a little in it, but he didn't really take he just got concussed and knocked out. Like when you hit Roy just went to sleep, right? Like the lights got switched off. He wasn't taking like sustained punishment, like multiple shots to the head. Holyfield is fairly articulate. Fairly. He's fairly articulate, but he's also fairly slurred and slowed. He's also got a good. Mike Tyson is definitely slowed. Definitely slowed. Lennox Lewis, not so much. Thomas Hearns. Tom. Yeah, Bo, I can't understand what Riddick Bo's saying. There's a bunch of guys like that. So not Lennox. No, Lennox is pretty clear. But I'm sure he's feeling the effects of it. You can see it a little bit. You can see it a little bit in him. But just you taking all that punishment during sparring, you're taking all that punishment during the fight. Yeah, Shane Mosley definitely. Tank, nah, I don't think that's the issue with Tank. I think Tank's just from Baltimore. I think that's just how Tank talks, man. Tank's just hood. His stuff that's just how he speaks. I don't know. I don't really think he's punch drunk. I think that's just how he speaks. But it could be. I mean, it's a reason people get it. Exactly. Tank has a really heavy Baltimore accent. That's kind of how I see that, man. This is a real heavy accent, man. But it can be confused, no doubt about it. Yep, Floyd Sr. But the point, I mean, we can run for days with guys that suffered effects from taking too many shots. So I think the smartest thing for Manny Pacquiao to do is take the Take the exhibition money with Floyd. Just, I know you really want to have a real fight and all that, but there's a chance he can make more money in an exhibition with Floyd than he could in a fight with anybody else. And you're not taking a lot of punishment either, and you get the money. Why would you want to go get beat up by Errol Spence? Go get beat up, get beat up and probably stopped by Errol Spence for $15 million, or do a $20 million exhibition in China with Floyd and not get touched. Or even if it's the same money, you're not going to take any punishment. Why wouldn't you do that? You know? Exactly. Not worth the money. How much is enough? Edith, they pretty much just want Foreman is surprisingly fine. He didn't fight for 10 years. He didn't take a lot of punishment. He knocked everybody out until he got in there with Ali. Ali beat him up. George Lyle beat him up. But other than that, I think he got beat up by Holyfield. That's it. Holyfield beat him for the championship, though he gave Holyfield some work too. And that's it. Other than that, he ain't never got beat up. He got hit a lot during his comeback, yeah, but, not that bad. Somebody beat him up. Some other people he just knocked cold, like Jerry Cooney. Jerry Cooney didn't put that, but he did get hit. But he never really got punished. And he took so long off. He took 10 years off. So his body had a chance to bounce back after 10 years, man. Terry Schmoot in the building. What's good, man? Yeah, St. Cruz said Foreman dished it out and rarely took it. Yeah, he dished it out all right. Because you could hear it in George Foreman for sure. Terry Schmoot. Dude, let me tell you, man. Let me tell you. This ain't 140 pounds, dude. The fight's not at 140 pounds. Okay? And this is how I don't really like the idea I don't like the term A-side. It's, who has the most bargaining power? And I think it's fair that Errol Spence Jr. has more bargaining power. He can go fight somebody else. You know what boxing pundits will say? Yeah, I know. I'm a boxing pundit. I know what I'm going to say. They ain't going to say, they can say whatever they want. Most of the boxing pundits you're talking about are going to say whatever Bob Arum wants them to say. Because if they don't say what Bob Arum wants them to say, they'll be like Dan Rayfield sitting in a truck, covering the fight from a truck outside the arena, watching it on TV. They'll be sitting outside on their phone, reporting, buying pay-per-view if they play with Bob Arum like that. Pac doesn't want to fight Spence. If his fans were crazy enough to believe that, they need to demand the fight Spence next, because I want to see Undisputed. Pac needs to retire because he's in the way. Yeah, Tex Rocky has a lot more. That's what it is. It's bargaining power. He can just go on about his business. Say, okay, well, rematch with Shawn Porter. He can fight Keith Thurman. He could go up to 154 pounds and fight pretty much anybody but the 100. Shit, he could probably go sign and fight Munguia if he wanted to. I wouldn't advise it because Munguia is a light heavyweight. But, that's what I'm saying is that's what it's bargaining power. What is your alternative if you say no? So if Errol Spence Jr. says, all right, there's $50 million in the pot. Let's do it better. What is yeah, there's $50 million. That works. $50 million in a pot. I want 30 and you get 20. What's going to happen? What's his alternative? Somebody says no. Okay, well, I'll go fight somebody else. You say no. What are you going to do? You're going to go fight Igis Klimas. You're going to fight Igis Klimas for 4. Okay, that's fine. You don't want it? Fine with me. I'll go fight I'll fight Danny Garcia. No problem. We'll put a Danny Garcia, Puerto Rico versus Texas pay-per-view. I probably won't make the $30 million I would have made, but I can make 15. So I'll take the 15, and then you go fight for 3, and then we'll be back to this after the next fight. And if you don't like that, I'll do something else. I'll try to do something else. That's where I think it's more bargaining power than it is like when you say things. What's going on, Left Hook Larry? When people say things like you're the A side because you're the better fighter. Dude, Keith Thurman was the champion. Man, he fought Manny Pacquiao on pay-per-view, and Manny Pacquiao had the rematch clause. Manny Pacquiao had the rematch clause. That's crazy. Manny Pacquiao's like, nah, no rematch clause for you, champ. No rematch clause for you, champ. You lose as one or done. But if you win, I get another shot at your belt. Because what was Keith Thurman going to do? If Keith Thurman didn't like it, Keith Thurman's going to go have to fight Errol Spence. And don't worry, I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take it. Fine, whatever. Because the other option for him was go fight Errol Spence, lose, and get knocked out, by the way. Lose, get knocked out, and then have Errol Spence have both those belts. And then Errol Spence fight Keith Thurman, Shawn Porter, or you fight Shawn Porter, or he would have to fight Shawn Porter. He could have lost that to Shawn Porter. With no shoe-in that he was going to beat Shawn Porter again. So, and he would have done that on regular Fox. So that's why Manny Pacquiao got the rematch clause, and Keith Thurman is back in the Himalayas with a good amount of money in his pocket. Oh, man. Eddie Jones said Pac named his dog Thurman. Man. Is it a female? Was it a female dog or a male dog? If that's a female dog, that's kind of low, man. That's a female dog. That's low. E. Woodson, what's good, man? What's happening? Philip Redden, Foreman would swing so much during his fights, he would basically air-condition stadiums and arena. Hey, man, but if the mugs landed, boy, woo-wee, man, oh, man, the Shevitz, dog, you going to sleep. You going to sleep. You going to sleep. Okay, Deontay Wilder's on. Deontay Wilder's on another channel. Okay, yeah, explains it. Salute to the Don. Excuses to duck. What happened to Spence call out? Get a title and I'll fight you. And Spence said to start this Crawford Spence saga. He still said he'll fight you. What's the problem? He said he'll fight him. What's the issue? He said he'll fight him. You're saying that he said he won't fight him? Errol Spence said he'd fight him multiple times. He didn't ever say get a belt and then as soon as you get a belt, I will fight you the day after you get a belt. I don't think he said that, man. Ain't no excuses to duck. Get out of here with that Terrence Crawford shit. Terrence Crawford ducked. Terrence Crawford ducked. Terrence Crawford ducked. He ducked when he signed with Top Rank. That's why they are talking Spence to move on. Dog, don't be butthurt, Mark. You know this is on Terrence Crawford. Don't be trying to move this up off of Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford signed with Bob Arum. Bob Arum decides who and when Terrence Crawford fights. That's on him. That's on them, period, dude. That's all it is, dude. That's all it is. Top Rank was Terrence Crawford's best offer. How do you know? He said that he never, how do you know? But he said Terrence Crawford said he never talked to the PBC. Never. He never talked to him. He got a piece of paper. Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't know you're trolling. No, I didn't know you trolling. I'm looking for a fight today, man. I'm looking for a fight today. If Arum was at the PBC at 35 fights and never had a big fight, everybody would tell him to leave. Yeah. But, that's saying, if and buts were candy and nuts, oh, what a party we'd have. Because the fact of the matter is, that's all right, Terry Smooth. I appreciate the compliment. Signing with the PBC doesn't guarantee a fight with a PBC fighter. When did PBC offer Crawford a contract? Terrence Crawford never talked to the PBC, according to Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford could pick up, dude, I got you. All right, you sent me an email. I can't check. I'm not going to check my email in the middle of the video, but I got you, man. For now, yeah. So come on, man. Let's not try to do that, man. Let's not try to do that. Okay. Don't try to push this off on Don't try to push this off on Errol Spence Jr. The fact that Terrence Crawford decided, because Terrence Crawford decided that he was going to re-sign and take the money with Bob Arum and Top Rank. And what's his name said it. That's what Bomac said when he was on Trill Boxing Talk. He said, look, we got guaranteed money. So we took it. They took it and ran. They're going to make the first offer to him because they were already under contract. They re-signed. Or they extended their agreement. How is Al Haym and those guys supposed to know when Terrence Crawford's contract runs out? The only people that would know that, for the most part, are Top Rank and Terrence Crawford. That's it. So how could they make an offer? If he wanted an offer from them, he could have picked up the phone and called them. But he didn't want no offer because he was perfectly happy where he was. He's perfectly happy where he is. So continue to sell that load of boo-boo to somebody else that is completely and utterly on Terrence Crawford. But Terrence Crawford's a heck of a fighter, man, who won't be making the Hall of Fame. Who will not be making the Hall of Fame, according to the fears of Oscar De La Hoya, man. Hold on one second. Ooh-wee. There you go. All right. Sorry about that. Doesn't undisputedly automatically send you to the Hall of Fame? No. You got to get voted in. If undisputed doesn't get you, who asked that question? Oh, get the smoke. If undisputed doesn't get you fighter of the year, it's definitely not going to get you in the Hall of Fame, home. Please recall that Terrence Crawford won the unified 140 pounds and didn't win fighter of the year. He lost fighter of the year to Vasily Lomachenko, who beat Guillermo Rigondeaux, a 122 pound fighter, a blown up 118. Miguel Mariaga and Miguel Mariaga, who had never fought at 130 before, and Terrence Crawford was not fighter of the year when he won. Not the Boxing Writers Association of America. He wasn't. Terrence Crawford was not the Boxing Writers Association Fighter of the Year. It was Vasily Lomachenko. for the 3 fights he had, the Rigondeaux, Jason Sosa, and Miguel Mariaga fight. What's going on, Black Magic? He said, what's up, OG? It's a shame when a brother doesn't know his worth. Hey, exactly. It's ESPYs, man. ESPYs. The ESPYs? Dog, the boxing writers and those guys vote on the Hall of Fame, dude. Not the ESPYs. But nah, Alexander Usyk Terrence Crawford was not fighter of the year. And he got undisputed, and he won the undisputed 140-pound title. So if you don't get fighter of the year for doing it, Hall of Fame is definitely not a shoo-in. But let's get to Deontay Wilder, man. Let's get to Deontay Wilder and the fight that I am so worried about. Let me get you, I need for the people in the chat, man, let me ask you a question. What percentage chance do you give Luis Ortiz of beating Deontay Wilder? Because this is so much, dude. So much the year of the upset, man. I'm worried about next Saturday with Errol Spence Jr. and Shawn Porter. I'm upset about, I'm nervous about Deontay Wilder versus Luis Ortiz. And Ray Robinson fight of the year, 30% chance for Ortiz. Do you think boxing has gotten softer nowadays? No, I mean, I don't want to say softer. I just think less honest. Less honest. Like the media has always been a little bit out of control, but now they're just making shit up with this pound for pound comment. The only beef that I got with boxing is this pound for pound nonsense, this lineal nonsense, this stuff that people are just trying to make up belts. Like the biggest advantage that I can see that the older generations of boxing, like before 1980 had, was that you know who the champion is. Boxing is just boxing. The way that boxing is administrated is just there's no champions. The concept of the champion is so watered down that ESPN can just make up a belt and give it to Tyson Fury. They're completely phony. Sugar Fantastic in the building, man. I was like, dang, I'm not gonna have to ring my super chat button all day. I appreciate that, man. Much love, Sugar. Tyson once fought 15 times in a year, but yeah, he was young. Fighters do that. There are a lot. I mean, that's what happens when you're early in your career. Fighters will fight every couple months, every month. People do that. What's good, Don? Coming through Southpaw side. What's up, SOW Truth, man? I ain't seen you in a minute, man. What's good, man? What's good? Hey, and Renee Box Young, man. What's going on, man? They say they want, exactly, man. St. Cruz, and they want, that's the biggest weakness of boxing right now, is they've got so many titles. They just really are overdoing it, man. And usually I wouldn't even be so pissed off about that lineal stuff if it was like, come on, man, stop trying to add championships. You're going to add another one? You're going to not only, is it bad enough that you got 4 of them, you got 4 of them with all kind of politics, but they actually have real organizations with real rules that you can read, but you're just going to add something else? You're just going to add something else? Like the lineal. Well, who gets to decide the lineal? Well, Ring Magazine gets to decide who the lineal is. Who owns it? Man, just get out of here, man. That's the biggest problem with boxing. If they only had one champion, if they only had one champion, and even my most avid haters, who probably are listening, even my most avid haters got to admit this. If there was only one champion, this shit would be a lot less confusing. If there was just one champion, it would be a lot less confusing. Even the clowns, Fanon knows nothing about boxing. Fanon's a hater. Hey, yeah, we got 204 people in the building. Let's get the likes up to 204. Now with the thinner count of people in here today, I will ask for the likes. Let's keep the likes consistent. Let's get them up to 200. Let's get it up to 200. That's my man, Blue Blood, man. Big for 9. You think the Wilder Fury rematch will postpone? I think it will. I don't. Yeah, I think it'll be postponed. But see, it's not even guaranteed to happen. He's got to get past Luis Ortiz. I don't want to put first things first. Let's not put the cart before the horse. Okay, let's not put the cart before the horse. Deontay Wilder's got to beat Luis Ortiz. And if he doesn't beat Luis Ortiz, he's going to have to run it back with Luis Ortiz. Okay? And just like Not Roger said, Ortiz still scares me. That's a real fighter, man. That's not somebody to overlook, man. All right, we're at 241. Let's get him up to 200. Tank, do you think Tank edges Lomachenko when they fight? When they fight, I think he knocks out Lomachenko. When they fight. It should be if and when they fight. If and when they fight, I think he knocks him out. That's what I think. Because I think Lomachenko's already showing signs, man. Dude, he's going a distance with fighters that aren't that good. You know what I mean? Quiet as kept. He didn't get gashed. He didn't get gashed up like Tyson Fury, but he had his Otto Valen moment. Because that's what Luke Campbell is. Renee said, I would say more if they fight. Yeah, if they fight. Big ass if. But he had his Otto Valen moment too. He got a knockdown. He did get a knockdown, right? I think he got a knockdown. Yeah, he got a knockdown. But other than that, he got tested by Luke Campbell. I mean, it's coming downhill on him, man. What's going on, Trick Nolte? Yeah, it's coming downhill on him, man. It's coming downhill. Drew Titan in the building said all ESPN had to do was put the term former in front of Fury, and we probably wouldn't be blasting these jerks who create nonsense. Yeah, but you can't say, here's the thing, Drew. They can't say, and still former. He was never the lineal champion. And I'm sick of going through that. I'm not going through that today. I'm going to take... Nah, Luke Campbell ain't too far off out of Valen, man. Come on, man. Luke Campbell, he's supposed to stop Luke Campbell. That's Lomachenko. That's Lomachenko. That's Lomachenko. He's the greatest fighter since the young Muhammad Ali. Right? Isn't that what he is? Isn't Lomachenko the greatest fighter since the young Ali? How old is Roberto Duran? Isn't Roberto Duran younger than Muhammad Ali? I think he is. So that includes Roberto Duran. You think Luke Campbell's going a distance with Roberto Duran? You think Hands of Stone's letting him out that fight? I don't think so. And still not champion. Yeah, that's how they could have done it. That's how I should have done it. Otto is the Jeff Horn of the heavyweight division. That's Fury. Lomachenko is the greatest fighter since John L. Sullivan. Man, he's greater than John L. Sullivan. You got to say, because John L. Sullivan didn't fight black fighters. So you got to say that he's the greatest fighter of all times. But come on, man. How do you feel about Devin Haney, man? I think Devin Haney's a great fighter. I'm really looking forward to him being a great fighter. I'm looking forward to him, Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, and Shakur Stevenson getting close to the same weight class, along with Jaron Ennis, and we can make it do what it do, baby. We can make it do what it do. You know what I mean? That's a lot of talent. That's a lot of talent in that group of kids, man. Man, Cash Boxing, what's good? Much love in that super chat. Said Bronner knocked down Porter. Danny landed a lot of left hooks on Porter. Keith almost knocked down Porter with a couple shots. Spence by left hooks. Much love in that. Much love in that super chat, man. Fanon, what is a lineal champion? I'm confused. Are you trying to mess with me, Brian Knight? if you just tell me if you trolling and just want me to go through that, but if you really honestly want to know, I'll answer the question. Okay? But don't try to get me amped. Don't try to get me amped. You're just kidding, Brian? You're not trolling? Is that what you mean when you say no? I'm new. Oh, okay. Lineal champion it's a concept that is based in the premise that a champion should be decided in the ring and not in the ring and should not be subject to the whims and the follies of the whims and what is it? The whims and the opinions of sanctioning bodies who can have jacked up ranking systems. They can put a guy, strip a belt from somebody, put somebody else, let somebody else win the championship. So the idea is that to become a champion, you have to have beaten the former champion. So back when boxing only had one champion at a time in a weight division, which, by the way, was from about 1800 to about 1960. So for the first 160 years, we'll just say 1800s. We'll just say 1800, right? But from about 1800 to, or when did John L. Sullivan fight? Was he 1860s? Let me see the year of John L. Sullivan. I don't, because there's prize fighting and then there's boxing, and the history of those two get a little confused. So let me see the age John L. Sullivan. John L. Sullivan, what year John L. Sullivan fought? John L. Sullivan, box rec. This is from the lineage of he was 1870, so we'll say 1880, okay? So from about 1880, you're right, it's about 1880. Because I'm thinking, like, why would he be the champion? There are champions before that, all the way back in the early 1700s, like Tom Cribb and Tom Melano and a whole lot of other guys. But we'll go from like 1780 or 1880, who's John L. Sullivan. So John L. Sullivan was a champion. And from that, then he lost to, who beat John L. Sullivan, dude? John L. Sullivan, was that? Jack Johnson didn't beat John L. Sullivan. He beat somebody else. He lost to James Corbett, right? Then Jim Corbett. Jim Corbett then lost to whoever he lost to, right? Which was, Bob Fitzsimmons. And then on and on and on. And you get this lineage of champions where one guy beat the other guy in a line. So they're saying that line that goes back to John L. Sullivan, that Tyson Fury is in that line of one guy beats another all the way to him. So he really is the historical heavyweight champion. And it's not Deontay Wilder. It's not Andy Ruiz. The real champion of boxing, thank you, Bob Fitzsimmons. The real champion of boxing is Tyson Fury. That's what Lineal is. And so that's what they're trying to say, but it's not true. Okay. Now, you didn't ask me why it's not true, and I've been explaining it for several days now, and I don't want to get amped again, but that's what a Lineal is supposed to be. However, I'll suffice it to say that around right around 1960, it started to get confusing. Because the WBA was formed, and that was the one champion, right? Then the WBC split from the WBA. Then there was two belts. So theoretically, there could be two champions. But for the most part, like with the heavyweight division, Ali held both belts. Frazier held both belts. Foreman held both belts. So it wasn't really an issue. But then promoters started selling the idea of champions. We'll just make up a new championship. We'll call it the IBF, right? That happened in the early 1980s. And then after that, Bob Arum founded an organization, that's my theory anyway, called the WBO. right? So then you have the WBO. Now they've got a champion. Now you got 4 championship belts, which is now, so Lennox Lewis was the last universally recognized lineal champion was Lennox Lewis. 1984, thank you, was Lennox Lewis. But somehow, a problem occurred because Vitaly Klitschko, the best 2 heavyweights in the world, and I think this is fair, I agree with this, that the 2 best heavyweights in the world were both named Klitschko. Vitaly Klitschko and Vladimir Klitschko. And they couldn't fight each other. So when Lennox Lewis retired, there was no way for the top 2 guys that held the belts to fight each other because they were brothers. So somebody over there in Ring Magazine took advantage of it and was like, well, we'll just, because they're brothers, they can't fight each other. We'll let Vladimir Klitschko and Ruslan Shagayev fight for our ring title, right? Note, it's the ring title that they fought for. But the ring title, what Ring Magazine says, because you remember, Ring Magazine is it's been around a long time before Oscar De La Hoya bought it and ruined it. It's been around a long time. During a lot of this time, there was a Ring Magazine, and people refer to Ring Magazine as the Bible of boxing. Because there was no internet, there was no all this stuff for you to get your boxing news. The number one source for boxing specifically was Ring Magazine. Then there was KO Magazine and other magazines like that. But Ring was the big one. So Ring's editorial board back in 2009 decided, or their committee, they decided that they were going to put their belt on the line in the Ruslan Shagayev Vladimir Klitschko fight. Vladimir Klitschko won when everybody knew he was going to win. It was Ruslan Shagayev and his Vladimir Klitschko. And then he became the ring champion. But because people considered the Ring Magazine, and people confused the Ring Magazine and the actual lineage of the heavyweight title, because Ring Magazine is not the lineage of the heavyweight title, because that's another part of lineage, right? Ring Magazine got nothing to do with John L. Sullivan. Ring Magazine ain't got nothing to do with Jack Johnson, nothing to do with Jack Dempsey, nothing to do with Ali, nothing to do with any of those guys. It's a freaking magazine. But people are now confusing the two. And you even hear Dan Rayfield confusing it in a sentence. Like, he put out this post on Twitter that said, to all the bozos, I'm paraphrasing, all the bozos that think that Tyson Fury can't be lineal because he was out for a while, and during that time the number 1 and number 2 fighters couldn't fight each other, that he can't be lineal. Because look at what happened with Jack Dempsey. Jack Dempsey was idle, and the number 1 and number 2 fighters couldn't fight each other, and he came back and he was still the lineal champion. Right? That's the crap. I was like, wow, really? What? First of all, and see, this is why it's important to understand that at the time that Jack Dempsey fought, there was only one championship. There were no other champions besides Jack Dempsey. So they could not he held the title. The number 1 and 2 fighters that could have fought if he had retired, or in the case of Jack Johnson, case of Rocky Marciano, the number 1 and 2 fighters that fought to take over Rocky Marciano's lineal championship, they were the number 1 and 2 people who are ranked by the people that owned that belt. I think it was the NA, somebody put it in the comments section, it was the NWAC or something like that. But it was a precursor of the WBA. So pretty much I just refer to it as the WBA, so I don't have to keep remembering what it was called. What the WBA originally was, that was what Jack Dempsey was a champion of. And the guys that replaced him, the NBA, thank you. Thank you, Curtis Anderson. So the NBA, Jack Dempsey was the champion of the NBA. So Rocky Marciano was the champion of the NBA. So when he retired, the number 1 and number 2 ranked guys that were ranked by the NBA fought and took over his title, right? And since there was only one title, and there had always only been one title, that the actual belt and the lineage of the heavyweight division were in lockstep with one another, right? But that's not the case with Tyson Fury or Lennox Lewis, really, because Lennox Lewis was the lineal champion because he was literally the guy that beat the guy all the way back until there was a time when there was only one belt, right? But when he retired, he only held the WBC and the IBO, which wasn't a major championship belt. So, yeah, you funny. Yeah, it's the NBA. But that's why they changed, because of the National Basketball Association, that's why the NBA changed their names to the WBC. And also they wanted to be more international, I do believe. Regardless, that's apples and oranges. The number 1, there is no 1 and 2 fighters in the world right now. There are none. Because there's 4 different sanctioning bodies. There are 4 different sanctioning bodies, and they all have got different people ranked. So there are no number 1. There is no consensus number 1 and number 2 fighters in boxing. So how could Dan Rayfield say that the number 1 and number 2 didn't fight each other? The answer to that is they are using Ring Magazine's number 1 and number 2, which is totally irrelevant. Totally irrelevant. But they don't count on boxing fans doing that type of study, thinking about it that much. You just, I'm going to see a championship. Well, who's the champion? And that's the part that sucks, because somebody asks you, who's the heavyweight champion? You got to name 5 people. Right now, you got to name 2. But they want you to name 3. Right? Somebody says, who's the heavyweight champion? And I say, well, pull out your pens and papers, folks, so I can tell you. First of all, it's like you got to teach them a class. You got to teach them a class on. You got to teach a class on sanctioning bodies, what they are, what their role, what their rules are, and what function that they serve. Then from there, you have to name who their champions are. You know. Exactly. PowerPoint time, dude. You got to pull out a PowerPoint. Man, Terrence, there ain't no lineal. First of all, James Ross, there ain't no lineal 140. 140 just came up. When did 140 get founded? 140 is a tweener weight class, homie. 140 is a tweener weight class. That's not one of the original 8 weight classes. That's another thing. Half of the weight classes in boxing don't even have a substantial lineage. Let me tell you, the weight classes shouldn't even have a lineal champion. How do you lineal when there were 4 different sanctioning bodies at the time that the weight class was founded? Right? How can you have a lineal champion? You can't even have a lineal champion there, because there were 3 different champions to start with. Like, when was Cruiserweight? Cruiserweight was founded in the 80s, wasn't it? Yeah, I think somebody can check me. We got cats that are real familiar with it, right? So you can't really have a lineal champion at Cruiserweight, because if it was really kicked off in the 1980s, right? I think it was the 1980s. There was already the WBA and the WBC, and they already had different champions between the 2 of them. So how could they have lineal when the weight classes started from 2 different places? Okay, 1988? Yeah. So if Cruiserweight started in 1988, there was already the WBC, the WBA, and the IBF. And if they had different champions, which one of them was the original champion? You can't have a lineal. You can't really have lineals in those tweener weight classes. So let me go through the weight classes. Yeah, thanks, man. We love these boxing historians in here, man. So let's go through the weight classes that you can't even have lineal in. You can't have a lineal cruiserweight. You cannot have lineal 168. You can't have lineal 154. You can't have Lineal 140. You can't have Lineal 130. You can't have Lineal 120, 130, right? 30, 122, or 115. Or anything below 115. Because all those shits under 15, under with 115 came around. It's just a model. It's just a motley crew. I ain't talking about the 122. Yeah, 122, right? 122 is real. Or is it? 135 is real. 126 is real. 118 is real. 115 isn't. 122 got to go. Yeah, 122 got to go too. That's why you can't even, and that's another reason why you really can't compare them. Because when you're looking at the champions of those between weight classes, all of those weight classes were inside of another weight class, right? And that's easy to understand because it has to be somebody, you have to roll up the weight class before into the lower weight class into the higher weight class. You have to roll them up because a 122-pound fighter would either have had to fight a 126-pound fighter would have to either fight at 122, or excuse me, a 126 would either have to fight at 135 or you have to fight at 118. But you have to roll that weight class up. It's just, I think there were 8. Is there 7? I thought there was 8 weight classes. If there's 7, if it's 7 and not 8, I thought it was an original 8 weight classes. But what is it? Bantamweight, featherweight, bantamweight, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight, middleweight, light heavyweight, heavyweight. You're right. That is, it started at featherweight. It's 8. So there was one before 8. Yeah, I thought it was 8. What's before featherweight? Featherweight, bantamweight. What's before featherweight? Flyweight? Was it a flyweight? Does it be flyweight, featherweight, featherweight, bantamweight? Oh, excuse me, flyweight, bantamweight, flyweight. Yeah, flyweight, bantamweight, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight, middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight. Yeah, the 8 is the original 8. Those are the original 8 weight classes. Those are the only ones that can have lineal champions, dude. But see, this is the promoters doing this stuff, man. This is the promoters doing this stuff. The people that are selling the fights, the people that get the people that are getting the sanctioning bodies to recognize that nonsense. And now they trying to, no worries, James Ross. It's cool, man. Dude, that's one of the great things about, I really like, one of the things that I like about the people that come to this show, dude, we got boxing heads in here, man. You can pretty much, I can ask dang near any question to the chat about boxing and somebody's going to come out with the answer. So yeah, it started with flyweight. Little ass dudes. The Booger Weight Championship, man. Razor Ruddock versus Ernie Shavers. Ernie Shavers. And Ernie Shavers, man. Even though Razor Ruddock is a good fighter, but I'll take Ernie Shavers because of his ability to turn your head sideways. So I'll take it, but I think it'd be a good fight. There is a minimum division. Yeah, but they just made that up. I'm telling you, those are the Japanese weight classes because the Japanese weight classes, that's where all those weight classes are. So they had to split them little weight divisions into even more weight divisions so they can have a bunch of fights and have a bunch of champions. That's what it is. So when people talk about how many championships Manny Pacquiao has or how many weight divisions Lomachenko or Floyd Mayweather or anybody has climbed, when you're talking about when you're comparing them to older fighters, you have to cut all that shit in half. You got to cut it in half and more than half sometimes. So, for example, take Lomachenko, right? Lomachenko is won belts in 2 weight classes. 126 and 130. He's a 2-division champion. According to, with the original 8 weight classes, he's fought in 2 of them. Manny Pacquiao fought in, he never fought at 118. Somebody tell me if I'm wrong. I think he went from 115 to 122, right? So he fought at 115. He fought at 122, 115, 122. He won a belt at 135, and he won a belt at 147. Manny Pacquiao is a 4-division champion. Floyd Mayweather won belts at 154, 147, 135, 126. He's a 3-division of the original, and neither one of them won all of the belts. So really, if you want to look at like what unification really is and undisputed is, and compare this to like an apples to apples comparison with the old school fighters, none of those guys are undisputed. None of them. I mean, none of them are, because Alexander Usyk fought at a weight division that with a weight division that isn't a real division. It's cruiserweight. He would have been a heavyweight. He either would have had to go down to 175 or he'd have to fight at heavyweight. There are plenty of guys that fought at heavyweight at 190 pounds, 185, 190 pounds. He would have had to fight at heavyweight. So Alexander Usyk, with the original 8, isn't even a champion. He would have to unify the heavyweight division to be a champion. So get rid of Alexander Usyk. Terrence Crawford was unified at 140. That's either 135 or 147 Roll it up. That's 147. He's not undisputed at 147. And you could make an argument that he's not even a champion because there was already 2 reigning champions there before he got there. So if you look at the order of the champions that were there, he couldn't be because there's 4 belts. So whoever was the champion when he got there, he would have had to beat. And he didn't beat the champions. He didn't beat the longest reigning champion in the weight division when he got there. The longest reigning longest reigning guy at the time he got there was Keith Thurman. Second longest reigning guy was Errol Spence Jr. Third reign, and I think the third, so that doesn't count. I'm telling you, man, when you really look, when you really look and you do that type, what's going on, man? Mighty Quinn said Tyson not a champion. He's a recovering an addict alcoholic. He's not a recovering alcoholic because he's drinking after the fights. And he relapsed on alcohol. Yeah, you got me in the next sentence. And he's going down the hill fast, believe me. Much love in the super chat, not on the destruction and the downfall of Tyson Fury. But I appreciate that support. Floyd won junior middleweight. Junior middleweight's not a championship. That's what I'm telling you. I'm looking at the original 8 weight classes. That's 154 is not one of the original 8 weight classes. He would have had to fight at 160. Which is telling you, man, Henry Armstrong held the 147, 135, and 126 weight divisions all at the same time. And he vacated the 126 and fought for the 160. And according to the historians, he got robbed against a guy he had already beaten. The Filipino, Seferino Garcia. Correct me if I got that name wrong, Curtis. It was Seferino Garcia, something like that. Filipino cat that he had beaten for the welterweight championship. Mr. Clean out the division, aka Harry Armstrong. Yeah, they all cleaned out the division because that back then. See, a lot of times now these guys would be number 1, number 2 contenders. Just think about this. If you had just one champion, right? If you had just one champion in welterweight, and Keith Thurman was the champion in welterweight, and the other 3 champions were ranked in any order you want to put them, but I'm going to put them in length of title reign, right? At the time, Terrence Crawford moved to 147. The champion would have been Keith Thurman. The number one contender would have been Errol Spence. The number two contender would have been, was it Mikey Garcia? No, it would have been, I think it would have been, actually, it would have been Terrence Crawford. And then the number four now would be Shawn Porter. If you do the same thing for heavyweight and you say, who is the champion when of the champions that are there now, the longest reigning one is, but I'll just stick with welterweight. Do you see how much more competitive boxing would be if, in order to be called a champion, Terrence Crawford would have to beat Shawn Porter. He would either have to beat Shawn Porter or Keith Thurman or Errol Spence Jr. to become champion. He would not have to, he wouldn't be fighting David Benavidez, Jose Benavidez. He wouldn't be fighting Egis Klimas because more than likely those guys would be ranked number 8, number 9, number 10. It really does make, so that's why I'm saying when you look at these old school fighters, the competition level at the championship level had to be better. That's why, like today, if Floyd Patterson was fighting under the same system that they fight in now, Floyd Patterson would never have had to fight Sonny Liston. And people would be like, who's Sonny Liston? Sonny Liston's just a bum. Who has he fought? What top 10 opponents has he beaten? Because he would have been ranked in the top 10 more than likely of some other sanctioning body, maybe a sanctioning body that Ingemar Johansson was a champion of, right? So you could have Archie Moore hold the WBO. You could have Floyd Patterson hold the WBA. Ingemar Johansson hold the WBC. What's the guy's name from the UK? Henry Cooper would hold the WB. That's how watered down it is. He says, so I believe the boxing pap said no more 15 rounders. I think no more 15 rounders had more to do with television than anything. But yeah, Rob did 160. Yes, sir. Mancini's opponent died before the beating he took and severe dehydration. Yeah, that could be, but they should have fixed the mismatches. How about you get rid of, was that before or after the dehydration could be helped with. Yeah, it's all kind of in the wash, man. Will Ortiz people have to do anything different? For what? Not get hit. Yeah, you got to do something real different. Don't get hit. Don't get hit. Don't let that thing touch you, dog. Because you know dang well that touches you, it's going night-night, homie. Big Law said, I have a law question. If I can give you my opinion on it, I will. If it's something that's specific to a jurisdiction, you know, I can give you my understanding of it. But I don't know where you live, number one. So, and more than likely where you live, I'm not barred in that state. So I give you an answer the best I can. Yeah, Vincent Ochoa says, sounds easy till you get in there with Wilder not to get hit. You know how that go. Everybody thinks they can do that, man. Cuss avoided Liston for years until Patterson insisted, to Floyd's credit. Absolutely. Like, nah, man, I ain't trying to make that fight. They're gonna hurt you, man. He's not worthy of being a heavyweight champion. He's too thuggish. He's too thuggish for boxing with all y'all crooks running around. Sam, you know, hey, I'm waiting on the answer to that question. I'll give you my opinion on it. If I can, I'll fight Wilder. I can last at least 30 seconds. Yeah, I prefer an odd number of rounds too. I'm waiting, big dog Willie. Otherwise, we're gonna have to keep rolling. Oh, Deontay just finished an interview with TBV. That's all right. Well, my luck. I prefer an odd number. Okay, what up for 9 in the chat? What's going on, the Diesel? Chilling. Big dog Willie. Somebody admitted my ER beat the fuck up. Oh, admitted to, okay, the emergency room. 2 black guys, collapsed lungs, 6 broken ribs, went into a Mexican restaurant and grabbed a Mexican girl's ass, then asked if he could get some wet Uchi. And everybody up in there beat him up? Is that the last part of it? Who beat him up? The people in the restaurant? Probably assault. Assault and battery. I don't know where it is, where he lived, man. Assault and battery. Yeah, if he got that's what he gets. But I'm gonna tell you what the people that beat his ass up gonna get. You're gonna get a case. It's not self-defense. You know what I mean? It's not self-defense. She has the right. If she felt like she is being assaulted, now he could be in a problem for sexual assault. But the people that kicked him and beat him up, that's going to be assault and battery. For anything that went beyond defending her or her defending herself. Now, if he, you know what I mean? Yeah, I can't say whether it's a aggregated assault or not. Because like I said, I don't know where that is. But it sounds like assault to me. Because it's not because self-defense is a defense to assault. So, like I said, man, I'm not the best in criminal law. Not at all. I haven't studied it in a very long time. I work mainly on contracts. But that sounds very much like assault to me. And they're probably going to do some time for that. Or, they can get charges pressed on them. It just depends on what the facts to it are. When somebody starts some shit with you, dude, you can't, like, if you get in a fight and once you've beaten somebody up, somebody could try to punch you and you punch to defend yourself. But if they fall down, get knocked down, and you start kicking them in the head, you're no longer defending yourself. Now you're assault. Now you're beating them up because the risk that you felt, the risk that you sensed is gone. Said it's aggravated assault. Definitely assault. What up, Fanon? What's your background in boxing? Ex-fighter, ex-coach, diehard fan? Just curious. Just a diehard boxing fan my whole life. As long as I can remember, I've been a fan of boxing. That's it. I used to fight a lot in the street. I used to spar a lot in martial arts. Fought a lot in martial arts, but not in boxing itself. Just a huge Muhammad Ali fan that eventually learned to love the sport. It's my favorite sport. If Ortiz wins, Wilder will be champ again. No need to have worries. I mean, it is what it is, man. I want Deontay Wilder to win because I want Deontay Wilder to become the undisputed champion and retire. That's what I want. Hold on, man. I'm going to look up a fact because I'm telling you, people be throwing shit out there. Hold on one second. Where is this? I probably shouldn't even waste my time with this, but the 140-pound division, I believe that the earliest one to be recognized was a smaller one than that, but smaller than 140. Oh, yeah, there it is. That's the one I was looking for. It was recognized in 1959, sir. No, it was originally established in 140 by 1920 by Walker Law, recognized in 1959. So cruiserweight was 190 pounds in 1979, changed to 200 pounds in 2003. Super middleweight was established in 1967, but it was not recognized until 1988. I don't know who they're saying is recognized by. 147 to 154. 154 was in 1962. 1959 for none of that shit was before 2000. I mean, none of them was before 1959, dude. Strawweight was 1987. No, friend. Just because it was somebody in some division somewhere in boxing had a fight at 140 did not mean that people recognize that as a legitimate championship, man. Because in 1940 was the time that you're saying 1940? 1940s were who was the 140-pound champion in 1940? I'm not buying it, homie. I'm not buying it. Not buying that at all. Never knew you were in martial arts. What belt? Dog. Red. I stopped before my black. Red. Stopped before black. Moved and did not continue on. Started running track in my sophomore year. Should have got my black. My brother's a second-degree black. I should have got my black. But I learned to fight by that time, so I was straight. I can handle my BI. I can handle my BI before that, actually. But you think Wilder can unify? I know he's good enough, but I don't think boxing politics are allowed to happen. If Andy Ruiz can get past Anthony Joshua, it can happen. It can happen. He won't hold it for long because they're going to wind up trying to make him do a bunch of crap and somebody's going to get him stripped from something. But, he can get it done. Saw Gang said, Yo, Fanon, you think if AJ wins his belt's back, he's going to duck Wilder till 2022? Absolutely. He'll duck him forever. He can't beat Deontay Wilder. He'll get knocked out, man. He'll get knocked out. So, nah, man, he's not going to take that fight. He ain't stupid. Well, not that stupid anyway. Got to take the power away from the Hearns. I mean, unfortunately, man, Eddie Hearns is going to be a player in boxing for a very long time. Unless he gets, even if he gets put back to the UK, he's going to be a force in boxing for a long time. Those guys don't go away just because they're scumbags. They don't just go away because they're scumbags. And he's got enough know-how, enough experience, enough connection, and enough of Anthony Joshua's money to be able to continue to hold fights in the UK. I think that his time in the United States is a little questionable, and he better be careful because Bob Arum, who I think is fading in the United States, is looking to go to the UK. That's another thing I've not talked about a lot, but there's a shift from top rank to Europe, and I think that that's where they're going to head. I think that it's more likely that a U.S. promoter will go to the UK and become a serious competitor in the UK than it is that one's going to come to the United States. Because it's a smaller market, it's easier to do, and they've got they got a lot of avid fans, and they've proven that they can be a profitable market. Now, although it's not as lucrative as the upside of American boxing, the pedestrian or domestic level boxing scene in the UK might be more profitable, you know? And there's plenty of dudes you can bring an American fighter over there to beat up on. You can go overseas and win. Bob Arum is a crook and he's still in business. Yeah, man, he is not stupid. The guys are smart guys. And they learn. And Bob Arum's going to be gone before too long. I know Todd DeBuff or whoever the other guy is that is going to take over that organization. But there's no guarantee that they're going to be as successful as Bob Arum was. You know what I mean? Yeah, Don King's still in business. Yeah, he's retired. He's wealthy. Is all he need. Is all get out. He's, from what I hear, he's a family man type of guy. But you know, it is what it is, man. But look, man, I appreciate everybody came to the chat today. It was a little slow today. I appreciate that, Mighty Quinn, and everybody that supported in the super chat. Definitely appreciate you. We will be back tomorrow for show. Right after Trill Boxing. Oh, yeah, man. Absolutely, man. It was built on corruption, for sure. It was illegal to start with. The only people that could participate in boxing were criminals. Everybody, for the first 100 years of boxing, everybody that participated in it was participating in a criminal act. You know what I mean? Hey, thanks, Terry Schmoot. It was fun, man. A little slower than usual. But, you know, the champ was on another site, so some people didn't come. We'll be back tomorrow. And it is what it is. Much love to everybody in the super chat. Make sure you check out KQKC Boxing coming up next. No worries, Big Dog Willie. My pleasure. And with that, we out. Peace. Yep, Gravy Dave, you noticed that? Peace.